And we are back with Split Screen Experience. I am Andrew, joined by my co-host, Harmon.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Hope you enjoyed episode 1.
Yeah, from our analytics, you guys ate episode 1 up, and we're very ecstatic about that. I know my tone might not reflect that properly, but it was pretty impressive to see those numbers climb up.
Right, yeah, we really appreciate you guys taking the time to be able to watch our episode 1 and hope that you continue watching every Saturday when we release a new episode. Well, let's kick it off right now. So right now, what game do you think, like what game franchise would you want to see a reboot of?
Here, I'll say for games that deserve a reboot, I'd say Assassin's Creed is probably a pretty big candidate for that. Honestly, kind of maybe Far Cry as well. Pretty much just targeting Ubisoft here because most of their stuff has just been thrown into the gutter, or they don't even release games for the certain series anymore.
I was also going to say Far Cry because the games have just felt super repetitive. Hey, go get this tower. Hey, go capture these villages or points of interest. Go kill the big bag. After doing that, clearing the entire map.
And then here we're going to throw characters at you for antagonists that are nowhere near as iconic or well written as Pagan Min or Voss from 3. Like, I know there's a cult following for 5. It wasn't for me. And then I don't know if New Dawn was really for anyone. And then 6, all I heard was the entire budget went to Giancarlo Esposito, which he is very talented, but the game hurt around him, so it didn't matter.
Almost felt wasted to even have him on that game.
Yeah, like why would you bother attaching him?
Yeah, I got no idea why they did that. Should have just tried to get someone that was lesser known and spend more money on trying to make everything else up to par.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Like Ubisoft is just one of those studios or publishers, whatever. I don't even know what they're considered. They have Ubisoft like Montreal and all that, which are the developers, but Ubisoft also publishes, so, whatever you want to refer to them as, but they need a real kick in the pants because they've been slacking for the last multiple entries of pretty much all their games. And then the CEO making that comment somewhat recently going, players should get comfortable not owning their products, which is a completely ludicrous statement.
Yeah, I definitely don't believe in what he said. I believe if I bought a game, I should own it, not just the right to play it. I should own it indefinitely because without me buying it, you guys don't get a paycheck.
Now, I will say my one caveat to this is if they meant that there would stop retailing games and instead to access Ubisoft titles, you'll pay into Ubisoft Plus, which they launched a couple months ago. So instead of being able to buy Assassin's Creed Mirage, let's say, you had to spend $17 a month to basically open up the catalog. You could play whatever you want, but you didn't have to buy that game and then have a subscription. I think that could work, but I don't want that. But that makes more sense to me than just, you bought a game, but you don't own it. You need to buy a game and keep a subscription to even access a single-player title. Like, that's weird.
Right, and same with that Rockstar executive who said the same thing because of how expensive and how long GTA 6 has been rumored to be. If GTA 6 was going to come out like that, I wasn't going to play it because I wasn't going to spend money for every month. Or he wanted to do it an hour, right? He wanted to do like hours.
He said for online is $5 an hour.
Yeah, I'm not spending $5 an hour to play online with my friends.
Yeah.
I'd probably play the story once and then probably want to touch it. And then you'd probably see a surge of players going back to GTA 5 online because
And that is if they keep it up.
Yeah. And if they had the subscription, GTA 5 online would probably still be, if not more popular than it is right now.
Which I feel like if they were going to implement a subscription service for it, they would properly terminate GTA 5 online. That way you don't have another option to get that experience. I guarantee you, if that's the case, GTA 5 online will probably shut down either way within probably the 6-month window of 6 coming out. So they don't have to keep operating those servers. Maybe they'll keep it going a little longer. We'll see. But that's just my little guess. 6 to 8 months probably. Maybe they'll do a year. We'll see. But if they have a subscription service, they'll absolutely axe that game like the week GTA 6 comes out. Because they'll want to force you into that.
Right. They're going to want you to play their new title.
Right.
Which I could also see for Elder Scrolls Online if they ever make an Elder Scrolls Online 2, which I don't see why they would, because they still update it regularly and add new content. I could see them axing those servers right away.
Right.
So everyone would have to go play 2 and go get all your stuff again.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately where we're seeing these games as a service titles really are crippling the rest of the gaming community, I feel. When they hit, it's like striking gold. and they can just print money with it. But more often than not, they're not successful enough to keep the doors open. So they shut down, and it's disappointing. And you're going to see stuff like, these more. I mean, we just saw Suicide Squad came out, games as a service, and I don't think that game has legs. I don't know. I think these subscription models and all that are just really misguided.
Right, because I remember as a kid, I wanted to play World of Warcraft so bad, but I didn't have a PC to do it. And then I found out there was a subscription, and I'm like, oh, $15 isn't a lot. And then I started to think about it. I'm like, oh, that's every month that I got to pay that. That's no good. I don't feel like playing this anymore.
Now, like with the next gen version of GTA 5, they introduced the concept of GTA Plus, which I don't hate actually. It's like a little bonus thing. It's not just to get like exclusive content for the most part. I mean, you might get like a hoodie or something every month, but like nothing, you don't really care. It might be like, oh, that's a cool hoodie. Anyway, moving on. But like the big thing is like it's $5 a month. It's already not a lot of money, and you get in-game currency and whatnot. I've never subscribed to it. I've never bothered upgrading to the next gen, like or current gen versions of GTA 5. But I feel like if you did a subscription, something like that, where it's like, do you love this game and just want a little bit extra content? Here, spend a little bit more a month, and you get access to it. It's like, to me, that makes sense versus just a raw. Yeah, spend this much money, you get to play it for a month.
Yeah, I agree. I also have the ability to upgrade to the next gen for GTA 5, but I still have friends that don't have Series X consoles, so I wouldn't be able to play with them anymore if I did that.
Right.
So I just find it best to just not upgrade to the next gen for that and just continue playing on the Xbox One version.
Definitely, probably the right call in that boat. I'll say that.
Also looking at the subscriptions, Ubisoft Plus. I know we've just kind of been railing on Ubisoft today, but Ubisoft Plus is like the same price as Game Pass, and you only get Ubisoft titles.
Isn't it more than Game Pass now? I'll have to Google it. I tried to pull it up on the actual console, but either way, the fact that it's in the same ballpark of pricing as Game Pass Ultimate is ridiculous.
Right, because at least with Game Pass, you get all of like the Microsoft-owned companies. You get all those games, but with Ubisoft, it's just Ubisoft.
Right. And it's like, I mean, so let's look at their most recent lineup of stuff. So they had the Avatar game came out. I didn't really hear too many people talk about it. Most people just said it's Far Cry, but Avatar, which is exactly what it looked like from the trailer. So anyone who's disappointed by that fact, I don't think you watched the same trailer I did. They had the Prince of Persia platformer game. I know maybe this is going to anger some people, but I'm not the biggest platformer guy. I feel like you have to do it very precisely to be able to make that work in today's modern landscape. Mirage got flack from the new gen of Assassin's Creed fans where they said it's not even Assassin's Creed anymore because it's more like the older titles instead of the new trilogy we had about the Odyssey, Origins, and Valhalla. But it's like, to me, there's not enough value there to go, you know what? That is worth $13 a month or whatever. Like, it's crazy.
Like if we look at Game Pass, I get all the Halo games. I get all the Gears of War games. All the Call of Duty games are supposed to be coming soon. Not too entirely sure on when those are supposed to come out on Game Pass yet.
I heard March, but I don't know if that's true, obviously. They haven't announced it.
Like we said, we're not too sure. You get basically all the Bethesda games and like several other like indie games on Game Pass that you get to have fun with and enjoy. You're not just locked to strictly Ubisoft games.
Right. And Game Pass is such a great tool for supporting, like you said, the indie hits and like AA titles where, I mean, we just saw a game like Power World, which it would have still sold well, but I think it really gave the game legs to launch with Game Pass as well, which allowed for all these new players to come in and go, this is a really fun thing. The devs are able to get a lot more info from the larger player pool. More people have access to it because, again, it's included in a subscription. And I think it really led it to a lot of its success. I'm not going to say, oh, it's the only reason or anything, but like it allows for that with these smaller devs that don't have the same marketing budget and reach that like EA Publishing does. That's why I think Game Pass is so great for that value versus, Ubisoft Plus. Yeah, like you said, do you want to play the new Assassin's Creed or Far Cry? Well, we aren't doing Ghost Recon anymore, apparently, according to that insider report. What about Splinter Cell? Allegedly, we're getting like a remaster or reboot, something.
I would be excited for that because I do enjoy the Splinter Cell games. Splinter Cell Conviction is the one I definitely play the most.
Yeah, for me, it's Conviction and Chaos Theory are the two that I can really remember, like, distinct features of. The other ones, like the more recent ones, they kind of like blended together a little bit, but Conviction was really solid, and I played that a lot. Hope we see that come back, I will say that. And Ghost Recon. Ghost Recon deserves to come back. Wildlands was fun. Breakpoint wasn't. but
Well, Breakpoint, they tried to turn it into like an MMO for
mhm.
some reason. I don't
Instead
know
of just
why.
4-player squad like taking on NPCs.
They turned it into the Division, which the Division should have been its own good thing, and they shouldn't have tried to make another game the same thing.
Right, which that's a series that they announced like a year ago now. Two different. They announced Division 3 is happening, and there's the Division Heartlands, which I remember seeing a trailer for, but I don't remember exactly what the selling point was. But it looked cool, but we haven't heard anything about it. It's probably one of those games that they announced and it won't come out for another 3 years minimum.
So going back to Power World, kind of want to talk about the kind of controversy it has with Nintendo saying, "Oh," or everyone kind of like inciting on social media that Power World copied designs from Nintendo, meaning from their Pokemon series. What's your take on that?
It's it's one of those things where it's like I've looked long and hard, and it's like at the end of the day, it's hard for you to go, you stole our idea when most Pokemon are based on animals, and it's stuff like it's a fish that sprays water out of its mouth. And it's like, well, where'd you come up with that, Nintendo? Like, it's not like there's these super ludicrously original ideas. However, there are a couple that I've seen where they're like, yeah, very clearly, like, this is Lucario, this is Luxray, stuff like that, which obviously, Luxray is my boy. I love him. Any game I can have that Pokemon, I will have Luxray. It's hard to say that, like, they're going to take legal action because I think they would have already, because Nintendo is no strangers to using the court system to get what they want. They are extremely, extremely litigious, and it's not even funny. Like, this game was publicly announced. I don't think they're going to make a move on it. I think most people on social media are just trying to stir an uprising just to see it, like the world burn. Like,
They're just trying to get a rise out of other people.
they would have done something. Like,
While Power World is not a direct copy of Pokemon, it does have some similarities, but also I think it's just different enough to where really don't have a case other than the designs. Because when's the
yeah,
last time you've seen a Pokemon carry a gun?
right. When's the last time you've seen a Pokemon carry a gun? And the fact that this game plays more like Rust or Ark or any of those kinds of games versus Pokemon. Because every Pokemon game, even the new ones, while like Scarlet and Violet are like open world, whatever, it's still a Pokemon game. You get into a fight, it's turn based. This isn't. This is just you throw a Pokemon out and they're just going to beat each other to death like your Tames and Ark. And it's different completely to like the closest thing for Pokemon would have been Arceus that came out on the Switch, which tried to evolve the Pokemon formula, but they didn't commit to anything. So, and at the end of the day, it feels like kind of just more of like we had some ideas, but we weren't bold enough to try them. And it's like, well, this game took more of those ideas and made it, yeah, like it's a survival world thing. You can have base building, you have resource acquisition stuff, and it's fun. It works. And like the creature stuff, as much as it's simultaneously like the main selling point, but it is also kind of the back burner in gameplay. Like you need them for your base, but like it's not like Pokemon where it's like you got to catch them all, and I need to get them high level and beat this gym. Like it's like there are boss fights to take on, which is where I mean honestly it plays more like a Souls game than a Pokemon game because of the towers.
I'm kind of surprised more that we haven't heard anything from Studio Wildcard trying to like get at Power World, because Studio Wildcard's the creators behind Ark. Since that game, the Power World plays more like Ark. Oh, you gotta tame dinos. You can put these dinos to work, and they'll get resources for you. Same
Sure.
thing you can do in Power World. I'm kind of surprised Studio Wildcard didn't come after them. Instead, everyone's like, "Oh, Nintendo only has that right to go after them."
Yeah, because Nintendo exclusively, no other game or any other piece of media has ever like positioned itself around the main selling point of capturing creatures. Definitely not Dragon Quest, definitely not like the mana games. It's not that original of an idea, and I think it's kind of the same boat for Ark, because I don't think Ark really invented a whole lot of the stuff in that game. They just said, wouldn't it be cool if you could be the most freakish abomination of human nature, and then tame whatever dinosaur you want. However, it might take you 6 hours or more like to capture one dino.
So looking towards the future of Power World, do you think that this game do you think it will survive past the 2 week phase?
I think so, yeah. I really think if we look at like they've already put out a content roadmap, which is my favorite thing any developer can do as long as you stick to it as best you can. I know obviously technical side things happen, so some things get delayed, canceled, whatnot. The stuff they announced was all really good. Like obviously they announced like more bug fixing, some tweaking to fix some of the textures and like frame rate issues, which I won't hold against the game. It's a new release and it's in early access at that. They announced they're gonna do like new Pokemon, new pals. Sorry, don't want to say the other P word. New pals, potentially new maps, which I think is going to be the big one. Facilitating PvP fights in like an arena, which I'm like, that's cool. I like the sound of that. So we'll see. I think it will stick around as long as the devs continue to stay on top of of it, if they kind of try to like, well, let's delay this and then we'll get all these updates out at once in like a year, I think that'll kill the game to an extent. I think you kind of need to get things in a better state before you can take hiatuses between updates like that. So that's my one caveat. But the long answer short, yes.
The reason why I bring it up is that another game that me and you have played, the finals, has lost like 95% of its player base since releasing on December 8th. It's like I'm kind of worried because we've kind of hit an era. If big name streamers aren't playing the games, then people, the viewers themselves, aren't going to play the games. We saw that with Rumbleverse, right? Rumbleverse, that
Yeah,
like wrestling battle royale.
that game needed to shut down though. That game.
I know, but it was like a unique idea, and like it had like a pretty good hype behind it, and then it just, I felt like not even a month later they were shutting their doors.
I think the big one for that was it. I mean, it was a combination of, I think there was a lack of content creation really drumming up support for the game, because I think we live in an era where I think most gamers are more than ever only looking to the horizon for the next AAA experience. They're not really concerned about AA, indie, or anything below that AAA, which I know it's a subjective term that doesn't really mean anything, but we all kind of know what we're talking about with AAA. That, they're like, oh, when's the new God of War? When's the new Halo? When's the new this? When's the new that? And it's those other games get lost in the shuffle, and then the ones who do get there, if there's any remote problems with them, they'll just delete them. Because I mean, like Rumbleverse, I played for a good couple hours, and the game was riddled with like balance issues to the point where it's like, is it still fun but unbalanced? And it was no. It's like, so then it's the worst kind of unbalanced, which is it's not balanced and it's miserable, because you could get one move, and if you had one move, it literally reflected damage back, and so you basically just died every time you got into a fight. So that one I'm not too sad about, but the finals, if that closes, I'll be sad, because I do think that game has legs, but if no one's there to play it, then obviously I'll change my answer on that.
Another indie game I hope makes its way to console and can actually stay above the rest is Lethal Company.
Yeah.
Because from all the videos that I've watched from some of my favorite content creators, they've seemed to have a lot of fun with it, although most of the time they've added mods.
Sure.
And console, when it comes to mods, is very strict on it. So I'm hoping that when Lethal Company, if it ever does come to console, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to, we just don't know when. Eventually we do get mod support to it, because I feel like that would really help the game out, give a lot new experience to a lot of players that have already played the game, maybe on PC already, or have just played a lot on console.
No, I think that's a big aspect of that game. I hope that game comes in a relatively timely manner, because I think I speak for most people. We want to play it. It looks fun to get your buddies and go on hijinks to like make your quota and fight these like different, like almost like backroom styled creatures. But I think it looks fun, and yeah, I think if we could get mod support for that game on console, that game would last infinitely longer. And I know you could say that about most games, but I think especially for a game that simple, the more mod support you have, the better it'll be.
Right. And another game that I think that would benefit greatly from mod support is Minecraft, another console game. At least the Minecraft version on console, I think would benefit greatly. I know they have like their marketplace where you can change the game by spending money, but as we saw from like Fallout 4 and Skyrim, they have their own mod window. You can add your mods, put them in a order so where the game doesn't break, and you can play the game. You just don't get achievements for it.
Right.
I think Xbox should be able to just copy paste that system to their titles, just rough out some of the edges that each game might bring up. You can launch from there, and a lot more people would be like, oh, I want to buy an Xbox now, so I can play mods on Minecraft, Halo, some more Elder Scrolls games.
Yeah,
like it would just be fun scenario for everyone.
And like, what world do we live in where like, yeah, because I remember when they announced like Fallout 4 is getting mod support on Xbox, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what? And it came, I was like, holy shit, it's actually real. But then you don't implement that for your first party title. Like Xbox, Microsoft was okay letting them put mods on their games, but they didn't bother to go and do it for Minecraft or Halo, Gears. None of their first party titles ever get mod support. And I guess technically Starfield might, when it eventually gets a single update, it might get a mod window, but that's because it's a Bethesda title. And they're the only ones who seem to have the go-ahead to directly implement mods onto their game. And it's mind-boggling to me, because like, let's look at all the games we had at the Xbox Direct a couple weeks ago, or like a month ago now. Like the Indiana Jones game, there would be some fun mods for a game like that. Like without a doubt, you'd have like, oh, let's make him like old Indiana Jones. Let's make his whip, I don't know, it's a snake because he hates snakes. That kind of thing. Like there would be fun things you would do, and you could see and then like obviously there'd be the ones where it's like replace the bad guy with Thomas the Tank Engine, like because that's how the mod community goes. But I'm guessing none of those games are going to have a mod support at all.
I would also assume the same thing. They seem to be very selective on what games actually allow mod support because they also heavily regulate like the mods that you can put on Skyrim and Fallout 4 to the point where feels like every week that a mod that I've had downloaded is either gone because it's gone past like their code of conduct and I have to start a new character because there's a pretty important mod to have on that's now gone.
I know it's a fragile like ecosystem with that, but also like if it's for a single player experience, like exclusively single player, then what's the harm in it? As long as you can get back to the menu to take a mod out, if you know it's like causing your game to crash, then there shouldn't be a problem. And having a built-in tool to do it, and because like people are doing it on console, they're just doing it the hard way with like actually like manually importing a file with a mod into it versus oh I guess they don't have support for it. They're not just going oh darn it and walking on. They'll do it the hard way. I mean like or they'll move to PC.
Right, that's how people used to back in old Minecraft. I remember some of my friends would like import maps and other quote unquote illegal items that you were not supposed to have into the base game. Like people still find a way to do it.
Yeah.
The gaming community, we're tenacious bastards. We're gonna find a way.
Yeah, to me, it does. There's no sound reasoning why games can't. I'm not saying it has to launch with it. I can understand like you want to like protect the integrity of what your artist created, at least for like the first 3 to 6 months. After that, though, launch mod support because by then people finish their first playthrough, and with mods, they will probably come back and see how they can screw with the experience a little bit.
Something I know from Skyrim. My Skyrim dragons all are Thomas the Train, and every time they scream, it's Macho Man Randy Savage.
And that's beautiful.
It's not the best way to play the game, but man, it does make for some funny moments when I'm just walking around and I just hear in the distance Macho Man Randy Savage.
So, I think that is the preferred way to play the game. I think when Todd Howard sat down those many years ago and went, we're going to make Elder Scrolls 5, I would like there to be flying Thomas the Tank engines with Macho Man Randy Savage's theme song playing every time they scream. And the dev said, sorry, sir, we just can't make it with the deadlines and whatnot. So he conceded and let them be actual dragons with shouts and whatnot. But now you're realizing his true vision with mods. So see, it's a wonderful ecosystem we have here.
It is. The gaming community will find new and better ways to meme the games you love the most.
Exactly. That's what we do best.
It really is. So going off of Skyrim or more Bethesda, you see the Fallout Amazon Prime show that's coming out?
I'm very excited.
Me too. I've seen some of the like early leaks for it on Instagram like a while ago, and man, does it look good. That power armor looks good. I was kind of worried. That was one of the things I was worried about, how they were going to make that look.
Which I'm glad they opted for the more Fallout 4, Fallout 76, like the actual powerful looking armor versus the power armors you can see in 3 in New Vegas, which look more like football padding effectively. Like it doesn't look that powerful is what I'm getting at, versus like 4 you feel hefty and like demolishing, like you look like you're here for the wrecker crew. And
the exosuit that you put on,
yeah,
that's what I like. I like that it's like an actual suit that you have to climb into, not just oh, I switched my armor and I got power armor on now.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing Fallout 4 did. I'm glad they took that and ran with it. And like obviously they're going to, because Bethesda doesn't want to acknowledge. They'll acknowledge stuff from 3, but they don't want to acknowledge New Vegas at all. So it's not like they were going to be like, you know what, they had like this in New Vegas, let's make it like that.
No, it's because of the other company that worked with them, Obsidian. They want games that they've like mainly had a hand in.
Yeah,
they don't want to share.
Right.
And that's why I don't know why Microsoft hasn't been like, all right, you two, make Fallout New Vegas 2.
At the very least, I don't know why, since we own both those studios, why we haven't seen them issue New Vegas Remastered, because like there's that mod coming out for 4 on PC, or maybe it already came out. I don't think it's out all the way. Maybe early build is, but where you can like play New Vegas kind of in 4. If New Vegas looked half as good as 4 does, which 4 doesn't look great now. It looked okay when that came out, but that's where Bethesda's engines are always behind, whatnot. But like if that game looked half as good as 4, it would look insane. Because like I still think New Vegas looks good, even though I know it doesn't by today's standards. But the fact that we've not seen them commission a remaster for that game is ludicrous to me. Just announce it and you'll immediately get your money back in pre-orders. Like, don't really change a whole lot. Just make it look nice. Make it to where you can play past the end of the game and then call it a day.
That was my biggest gripe with New Vegas, is that once you made that save right before the final mission, and then as soon as that final mission was done, regardless of who you sided with, as soon as you killed that boss and talked to the leader of your the faction you aligned yourself with, you went all the way back to that save point.
Yeah.
And nothing you did mattered.
Right. Yeah, there's no impact on the world. I would have rather them have done like a cut to black, just say like 3 months later or whatever. And you wake up, you're whatever, you're hanging out somewhere and you see like your actual impact on the world. Like if you sided with Kaiser, he would actually have soldiers on the strip and, his preferred method of torture probably on display. Stuff like that. Like that to me would be a great addition while retaining the core identity of the game. Fingers crossed. Obsidian hire us. Just let us do it.
But considering how long Microsoft's owned Bethesda and Obsidian, and we haven't heard anything yet, I feel like the chances are very low, but
Yeah.
it's never zero. There's always a chance.
One
It's
is
pretty
always more than
close.
zero.
Just pretty damn close to zero. Well, I think that's where we're going to wrap it up for this week. As always, thank you for watching. And if you've gotten this far, be sure to check out episode 1 if you, for some reason, have gotten this far and not watched it yet, because it's pretty good. We talk about a lot of interesting gaming takes and movie takes. Make sure to check out next week's episode a week from today. And as always, I'm Harmon, joined by...
I'm Andrew.
See you next week.
See ya.